Hi guys, so the other day I made some patches, embroidered patches for a project my son needed for his school. It was literally for his marching band instructors, but anyway, I did a quick short video on how I made those, and basically I used free programs, right, embroidery programs. I had to use two of them though. So I had to use the free Brilliance program so I can do the lettering, and then I had to use something else, right? So I used the the Singer MySonnet free embroidery program to create the actual patches. And so all it is just basically applique circles, and then I added some little, image and then the wording. But to do this, you kind of have to go back and forth a lot to make sure the curve of your letters is going to match the circle and all that. So you do go back and forth. It is kind of a pain, but it was free. So I can't complain, because if you're trying to buy a digitizing software or like a embroidery program for patch making, they're several $100, $700, $800. It just depends on the company you go with. And a lot of times it doesn't include, let's say you buy a embroidery program, they don't have the patch making option, so that's an extra thing that you have to add on. It seems like with a lot of these companies that do these, programs that you can purchase. So for it being free, I think it works out really well. So I just want to do an intro because we are going to go to my computer because we're going to talk about this a little bit. When I make my patches, I usually put them on a cutaway stabilizer. And then on top of the cutaway, I put either a wash-away stabilizer or a tear-away type. You can use, what's this stuff called? I bought it. I haven't used it for you guys yet. But it costs a lot more. It's like a patch maker, and it has a certain name, the plastic of it. Some people use plastic sheeting from Home Depot. I have picked some of that up. I haven't used it yet. So I'm just going to use those two basic things, which is a cutaway with a stabilizer with a tearaway on top of it. I don't really like wash away because you think about it, when you wash it, it's going to start washing out, like it's trapped in there. I don't know. I'd rather not use it. I'd rather just use a tearaway. The reason I put the cutaway underneath and a tearaway on top, and then you do your patch stuff, is because when you pull away the tearaway, it just has a neater edge, and then you do the cutaway that's under that, and I think it just looks nicer. It's real sturdy, and it's really nice. I'm probably going to, in this video, use a twill material. This is not patch twill. I did buy patch twill. It's also very expensive. This is just regular old twill. You can go to, well, maybe not Joann's anymore, but wherever you like to buy fabric or order online, you want twill. I have black, white, and blue, just very basic colors. I'll probably use black or white today. You can do a fill kind of stitch. I do have circles that I've purchased on Etsy that will do a whole fill of, it just makes the patch all thread material, right? You don't have to put it on twill, but if you want to put it on twill or on felt, it makes it sturdier. But today what I'm going to do is more of an applique type thing where you use a circle, a square, a badge shape. It doesn't matter, but I'll probably do circle because that's going to be the harder one, and I want to show you guys how I manipulated the lettering. I should say if there's anything available, I'll link in the description box. Those will be affiliate links, which means I'll make a small commission if you purchase items those links, so possibly in here. I was just going to make the short video, or maybe embedded in the video is all I'm trying to say. But anyway, I was just going to do the shorts video, but I did have several people ask if I can make a full tutorial on it. I know it's probably not going to get that many views because that's just how it goes with those kinds of videos on my channel, but hopefully it'll serve someone, well. I do want to show you what they look like, the patches that I created. So the name, the lettering for like the program, Mission Hills High School Cardinal Alliance. And then Dorian found out from each of his teachers, he already knew pretty much all these, but he wanted to make sure what their favorite instrument was or what they played in high school kind of thing. So, trumpet, the clarinet. Look how cute that clarinet is. I got that from Etsy. And I had to shrink it down, but it still came out really, really well. I will say I use my Singer SE 300. This can be for any machine you have. If you have the pull-in ones, you have your brother, whatever machine, because this is very generic what we're doing here. Then you're going to save it as a file as far as what your machine will use, right? .xxx or DST or whatever it might be. So everything I'm giving you is across the board going to be the same, except for when you go to save it. And I used, a needle broke. I'm like, okay. And then so I replaced it with an organ needle. I couldn't find my Schmetz or my Singer needles, the ones I had picked up specifically for, my embroidery machine, but the organ ones I had also. They worked just fine, the pull-in machine, but it kept breaking the thread. And I'm like, okay, I guess this is how it is. I'm not even kidding. It probably broke 25 times. On this patch specifically, you can kind of see where the yellow isn't that great. It kind of got a little messed up. And every time I would go to do the clarinet little bits. So finally I was like, maybe it's the needle because it is kind of weird. It wouldn't really thread right, with the automatic threader. So, and it wasn't, positioned the way it is. It has a flat shank. It could only go one way. I was like, okay. So I finally found my Schmetz ones. I was like, cool. I switched out and not one thread broke after that. So it was just not liking those Oregon embroidery needles. I don't know why, but that's fine. A timpani. Look how cute that is. And I found these little patterns on, well, not true. Some of them I found on Etsy and some I found on freeembroiderydesigns.com or whatever that is. You get 3 free embroidery designs every week. They're also very inexpensive, so I don't mind purchasing some. And whenever you buy one, they give you like 2 free ones that are like this weird design. I don't even know how to explain it. It's very tertiary. I feel like they were designs from so long ago that they're just like, here, have them free. So whenever you buy one design, you can pick out 2 of these little weird designs. And then the snare drum, which is so cute. And it came out so nice. So these were about 4-inch patches. I did have to make this one a little bit bigger because the timpani, I can only shrink it so much. And since it had this little, stick up here, or mallet, whatever they call them, I don't know. It was just, I can only make it so small, so I had to enlarge that patch. So what we're going to do today, and we're going to go right now to the computer, is I'll talk to you guys about making the curved lettering to go into a round patch, and then we'll see what we want to make. I don't know. Now I look at it, I was like, I should have put like little music notes right here on either side. That would have been cute too. But anyway, so I like to do that. And then when we're done with the patch, after we cut it out, obviously you're using your rayon or polyester, or, your embroidery threads. You're also going to need something to adhere the patch. Now you can sew them on, so you don't need to put anything on the back. But again, I'm going to use cutaway stabilizer, tearaway stabilizer, the twill, and then after we do all that, on the behind it, we're going to add some adhesive. Now I did pick this up not that long ago at Joann's, actually a few months ago. I haven't tried it yet. I left it sitting here. It's a spray adhesive, so you spray it on, which is very interesting, and then I'm assuming let it dry. Yeah, allow it to dry, place item adhesive side down on top of project, and then iron it. So maybe we'll try this today just to see. Otherwise, I would just use the adhesive, the permanent bond, heat and bond. This is spray and bond. And we'll talk about that when we get there, but you do need something to adhere if you want to use an iron-on type thing. So let's go to the computer. I don't think it's going to take that long because I can explain it probably quicker now since I already did a whole set of these, and then we'll get to making it. Okay, guys. Oh, I was going to click off that, but I don't need to do that. I am using a Mac, but however you go to your My Sonnet or your, whatever it might be, you want to open up however that is. So on a Mac, it looks like this, possibly. I'm a QuickTime player there, but we're going to open My Sonnet first. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm going to do the shape. Now, in the free Embrilliance, you can't bring in shapes unless it's like a free BX design that you got from like Embrilliance or something like that. You're just going to go in here and do the shape. So you have all these things. So I'm just going to say cancel because I'm going to start a new thing. And I'm sorry, up here at the top, you can't see the options because this is a Mac and I didn't know how much it was going to record or not, which is, I also need to upgrade just so you know, so it might look different, but I'm not going to do that yet. So up here at the very top, I can click on these little drop downs and I want to insert, you can do, well, you don't really want to do open, just insert. I have all these things from when I was creating the patches that it's been crazy. So anyway, I'm going to go through and I need to find, sorry, on desktop, isn't it? Let me see. Tax forms? No. My embroidery designs, that's after I've messed with things. I save them there, but I just want my, let's say, Etsy embroidery files. So I have applique frames, applique shapes. I have filled circles. That's what I was telling you, the one that it just fills it in for you. So it's kind of like an applique, but it's all filled in. So I guess it's not applique, but I mean, it's just blank. So I have all these things: rounded corner, rectangle, rounded corner, square, a heart, a hexagon. I believe I have a badge shape somewhere, maybe not be here. So I'm just gonna go with a circle. And I found I really need the circles to be at least 4 inches or your lettering is gonna be really tiny. Now I only have about 1/2 inch lettering being the smallest size that I have, and you're gonna want, really, if you're gonna buy some fonts, a good 1/4 inch lettering would be fun because you might need something to be really, really small. But I'm gonna do a 4 inch patch, which is kind of big, but that's just how it worked out. So I go 4 inches and I can open it up. It has the different types here. I kept doing DST, but you know what? I might as well do XXX because I've been saving it in that. So this time I'll do that. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna right click and actually I'm not gonna right click. I'm going to go up here under design It's the tab that says design, and I'm going to say center and hoop. Okay. And now I'm going to go back to my file. I'm going to insert another one. And this time I'm going to do like a 3-inch file. And I'm sorry, I don't really know how to do this to go back. Just I use this other option. It needs to be like a 3-inch or a 2.5-inch circle. It needs to fit within this so that you can still do 1/2 inch of writing. And to be honest, at 2.5 will probably work better. But let's see if this works for me. And then again, I'm going to say design, and I'm going to say center and hoop. Now see how they're so close together? My 1/2 inch writing may not fit in here very well. So I'm going to delete that because I know it's not going to fit in there very well. So let's insert 2.5 inch circle, which is kind of a bummer, but that's okay. I feel like you lose a lot of sizing with that. Let's say open. And I'm also going to change the color of this real quick because, well, I guess you can have them the same color. Okay, let's just say we're having the same color. But let's say like on the other one, I had a yellow and pink, and I did want them to obviously stop color doing the one. You can manipulate your thread as you're stitching, right? So you could always say, oh, I'll just stretch it out. But if it's already going to do teal and teal again, it's not going to stop. And you have to catch it in the meantime, right? So I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to say center and hoop. But if you want to change the color of it, you can definitely change the color of it so that way it does everything in due time, you know? The other thing you're not going to need here is because if we're doing applique, basically there's an applique stitch. You see how there's 3 different colors? Underneath there's a pink, and then there's a pink placement, a purple tack down basically, and then the actual stitching. That's what I'm highlighting right now, like when I click on it. You can get rid of one of these. You don't really need to have this number 1. I just don't know if I can do that with this being the free My Sonnet, the Singer My Sonnet. So I'll leave that alone. Now, what we can do is, I'm going to highlight this right here. It means it's selecting everything here, and I'm going to group it. And so now essentially this is one piece. Okay. And I can put it right back, and you can center it again if you want. I think I'm going to say design. Center and hoop. Okay. And then if you want to save this as a file, like, oh, I'm going to start with this all the time. I'm not going to, you can save it as like something generic. So let's just say I want to say save and have all these things. But let's say you want to save it as 4-inch patch. So now we know it's a 4-inch patch that I always want to have. And I like it to be XXX, so I'm just going to say save. You don't have to put the XXX part yet because we haven't exported it. When you go to export, that's when you want to save it as .xxx. Okay, so now I have this generic thing. I'm going to lay this down for a moment. So now I need to open Embrilliance. Actually, we could have put our little picture in there, but let's say you want to go to Embrilliance. And since it's free, I don't have a serial number. I don't need to do any of this stuff. I just say continue. Embrilliance, the free one, comes with a free font. And I've already shown you videos on this, so let's just click on A. That's the font, And this is the free font it comes with. So like, let's say I want to go here and just say Miranda. I don't know what this patch is going to say. So I typed in Miranda, press return, and now that's what I have. This is a huge lettering. There is no other size of this, I don't believe. Let's see. I mean, you can make it funny, like these fun things. I don't even know what that would be for. But see, there's a lot of fun things you can do with this, even if it is a free thing. I mean, you have this, maybe just this, But see how that's not stretched the way I would want it to be stretched? Anyway, I don't want that, so let's just delete. Actually, let's go back to normal. But there's a lot of fun things you can do in there already that are just free. But I don't know if I wanted to say Miranda. Okay, let's just say Miranda, fine. I really don't even know what I want to do this. I have no idea in my head here. Okay. We want this, and again, this is their free one. I don't really want the free one because the smallest I can do is whatever this is. I think it's 1 inch. So I'm going to go see what what other things I have that I've imported here. Again, if you're going to buy these things on Etsy, make sure it's a BX file. That way you can put it into Embrilliance for free. If it's not a BX file, if it's something else, you're never going to be able to use it in here unless you pay for the Embrilliance software. So this is their free one. What I'm doing is looking for a 1/2 inch. Like, this is 1/2 inch. That's cute, but it is a script. It's going to be very tight, and maybe it doesn't look that good. I don't know, but it's not bad. But what I want to show you now that I have it here, so it's designs by Juju Amethyst, whatever the name was. Go into the click here. I'm over here, guys. See my little click on the circle, and the radius. Right now the radius is whatever that says, but it's basically flat. But if you start messing with this, you can curve it. You see how it's curving? And just from working with this, 27, 28 was a good curve size for the circle I made. I know that just because I've already played with it. But you're going to have to play around with this. If your circle is smaller, then you're going to make this much tighter, right? It just needs to be more curved. So again, I can leave it like at 20. And let's just leave it here at 20. I don't know if I want a cursive one for this, to be honest. Let's go back and say we want a different font. I really don't want the cursive because it's just like whatever. How about beignet? Okay, we have beignet. Now, see, I'm looking at beignet. I'm like, okay, that's not bad, right? It's not too bad. But let's say you really think like maybe this one should go up a little bit and maybe this one should go down. Just click on it and you can mess with the little letters themselves. So maybe A should be down a little bit to make it look a little nicer. Maybe this R should be a little more this way. You can also change the kerning and all those things. So while you're here, see over here? You can slant it. You can change the word spacing, like tighten it up. Whatever it is that you think you need for it to look good. Okay, so let's just pretend this is what I want. It's a 20 diameter. I know that's going to be probably too tight, to be honest. Let me just change it right now because I don't want to. Let's say that 24. I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to file up here and I'm going to save stitch and working. So what's nice about that is that it's going to save your working file, but it's also going to let you export, like have a stitch file, which is what we need. And so it's already .xxx, but if you want to change that, you can. Down here, you can change it to different file types. I'm going to do xxx because that's fine for, I think, both of my machines. Actually, I think DST is what both of my machines use. Anyway, I'm going to call it Miranda or patch or something, .xxx. Okay, so now I have this file. So now if I go back and bring up this guy again, I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to say Insert. And I'm going to say, I don't even remember where I saved that last thing. I wasn't paying attention. The Miranda file. Ooh, where did I save it, guys? Let me just say Recents. No? Okay, where did I save it? Documents? That's probably not the best thing because, you know, power of attorney, all these things. You guys really get it there. Let me find the file. I'll be right back. Okay, guys, I found the patch. Or the thing. And so I'm going to go File. I'm going to say Insert. And I put it under My Embroidery Designs for some reason. Again, it's probably the last way I saved it another time, and so that's where it wants to go. So My Embroidery Designs, and there it is. So it's this one, even though it tells me there's an error. It's this one, .xxx. I'm going to open it, and I'm going to drag it to where I want. And this isn't bad, but see how the curve is not the same? And it's actually crooked. Hold on. Let's put it, if we were to center, it's supposed to be here. Now, I know I didn't save it correctly, like with the curve that I wanted, but you can also kind of mess with it here a little bit. You don't want to do too much of this because it'll mess with the stitch. So I'm just going to say delete. That curve is not what I want. So I'm going to come back over to Embrilliance. Oh, sorry. And double click on this and go back to the circling. 24. I want it a little bit out, more out. So I'm going to do 28. And I'm going to say File. I'm going to say Save. And it should save it, you know what I'm saying, overwrite what we had. Why is it doing that? Okay, let's just make sure. Save, save, save. Okay, I'm going to reduce this. Now, I will say, you don't have to keep doing what I'm doing. You can probably have a good eye on it. If you have it up like this and you open, you know, close this so you can kind of see a little bit of like the curve of this and that, and you're like, okay, that probably looks good. So you can do something like that too. You don't have to keep bouncing back and forth. Now, oh, I don't want Embroidery, so I want to be over here. Okay, File. Insert, same thing. So let's do that. And this one should fit a little bit better. Again, I knew this because I was messing with this for it. Now you see how the A, if I was really to center this, it's kind of funky. So you can kind of bring it up. I'm going to use my cursor, my up and down keys to do this because I want to. But again, see how this M probably should go up a little bit more? You can go back to Embrilliance and manipulate that, singly just that letter. Or we can kind of do some of this. You know, try to make it fit and see if it doesn't look too funky, you know, messing with it. And I don't like the way that looks. So I am going to go back to Embrilliance and mess with this a little bit. And just keeping in mind, again, oh, I kind of want the M to be a little more up, right? Something like that. kind of mess with this a little bit anyway, because remember I had messed with the the R and the A earlier. And then maybe 27 is better. You know, I did 28 or whatever. That's a little bit better. You can also bring things in their spacing. Sorry. A bit closer or whatever it might need to be to look better. Something like that. Okay. And I'm going to save it again. So, I mean, there is, you know, I guess you can press save here. I've been pressing save up here. Okay. I'm going to lay that down. And again, let's try it one more time. Nope, I don't want Brilliance. I want this. So now go back, file, insert. Now you see there is some stuff. You got to go back and forth. You got to do some stuff, but it's free. Like, what are you going to do? You know? Now that's better. Again, we mess with that M. And maybe I bring this down a little bit this way. And maybe a little bit more this way. And maybe I use my keys to kind of bring that down a little bit. And I think that's it. I'm not going to see how the A is off. But again, it's a patch and it's a circle. So, you know. But that's not bad, right? Okay. So again, you can mess with it. I like the Miranda. I'm trying to see if I have a little embroidery design that's like a panda. So I'm going to also insert. And I'm going to go look through my embroidery designs and see if I have something cute that Miranda likes that I can just pop in there. I'm sure I have something. My embroidery files here or free embroidery downloads. I mean, I have all kinds of things I can find. So I'm just going to go through and find something cute, and I'll be right back. Okay, so again, I'm walking you guys through like everything. Obviously, you didn't have to know about my designs or whatever, but I found one finally. I don't have a lot of designs, guys. They're all for really big things. So this is obviously the 2.5-inch circle. The design has to be about that size or a little bit smaller, right? You can kind of mess with that. So I'm going to do these Sailor Moon images I got from Etsy. And actually, the gentleman was really nice that I bought this from because I didn't realize they were so huge. So I have this one. And I just asked if there's a way if I can get them smaller or whatever. And he did it for me for free. Like later that day, he just resized them and they work out really well. So I'm just going to do one of these little shadow things just to make it easy. So see how her feet are touching over here. And this is kind of... So now you can reduce things probably by 20%. I wouldn't do much more than that, guys. So I'm just going to bring this in. And honestly, I'm squishing it, which I probably shouldn't be doing, but you know, what are you going to do? Okay. And just clearing that area. And then just, let's see, I'm using my tools up here to kind of center it in a way. So how it's so close here and there. And I mean, that's basically it. So I'm going to highlight that guy. And, you know, the colors here are all very similar, but obviously we can do whatever we want when you get to the embroidery machine. So Miranda, and then, I mean, that'd be cute to write something else down here. I don't know what I would write down here. So let's just make it very basic. But I will show you, if you do want some lettering down at the bottom, I'm going to, I don't need to save this right now. But we can also, when we're all done, do this where you're selecting everything, right? Say you want everything selected, and then group everything, okay? So it's one piece. But let's go back over here. So what I'm going to do is file and make a new page. And hopefully I remembered what we were using. But anyway, let's go to the font. And I'm going to say, I don't know if I want to say Sailor Moon. That's a lot of, but Sailor Moon, okay? And we want the same lettering we used earlier, which I don't remember. Did I use beignet? Was that what it was? Yeah, I think it was the 1/2 inch, right? 0.5 inch. Beignet, and then we're going to go back to the circle. Now, I wanted to curve the opposite direction, right? Concave. So, you can do this right here. See, over here it says place on bottom. I'm going to click place on bottom. And still do the same thing, right? The same curve. Now, I will say, oh, you know what? Duh. That's why. I'm like, why does this look funny? I don't know what happened to the Sailor Moon part. Oh, you know what? I probably never pressed enter. Hello. There we go. So we still want place on bottom, and then we want the curve to be, again, like 27, 28, whatever that, you know. Let's do 28. And I'm just dragging this. I don't know if there's a way to enter it otherwise. And that looks really tight. So again, I'm going to go ahead and save it, and maybe I need to adjust some things. You know, I don't know. But for right now, I feel like this M probably will need to come down. That looks pretty good. I just want to make sure that was the same stitch I used before, but let me go take a look over here. Miranda. Is that the same stitching? It must be. Let me look at it again, because this is how quickly I forget. I'm looking at the M. Okay, yeah. So if you want a little more spacing here, you can space them out because that is very close, that S, you know, but it looks nice. I mean, and if you want it closer, you can make it closer because obviously the L and the I, you know, they're all very tight. But I'm going to go ahead and save stitch and working, and I'm going to say Sailor Moon wording. Oh. Okay, and I'm going to go back over here to my Sonnet and see if that's something I want to bring in. So let's say insert. And again, I'll find it. Where did I put it? Oh yeah, desktop, and then I put it in my embroidery designs. Again, it just defaults there because that's the last thing I use. But here's the Sailor Moon part. You can open, and then we can see, does that work for us? Actually, that works even better. And I wonder if it's because it has more lettering, so it just fits nicer. But I feel like the S needs to be brought down just a little bit. Out this way. And not too bad, so bring it down a little bit. See, the S is still kind of gonna be touching a little bit of the patch up here, and that's not my favorite. So again, I'll probably go fidget with it a little bit. Let's delete that, and I'll go back over here and mess with this S a little bit. It needs to go down, doesn't it? And I'm just eyeballing that. That might not be enough. That might be just fine, but I did want it more down that way. All right, let's save it again. Well, you know what? The S is kind of far away now. Let me bring it back closer to the A, but down. Okay. File, save. Now we go back over here. So once you start getting used to it, oh, that's not it. You'll be able to kind of do this a little more quickly. Right now, obviously, we're taking our time. So open, and let's see how that looks. That's pretty good. Again, the S is a little better, right? Because it was touching down here before and we didn't like that. But I'm going to move it just a little bit more down. And that doesn't look too bad to me. Let me bring it down just a little bit and maybe a little over this way. See, the I is very close to this stitching, which isn't the end of the world, but it's not my favorite. And I'm just messing with this stuff to kind of do what I needed to do. Okay. I mean, you know, there we have a patch, essentially. So again, if you want to just highlight everything, you can click this. That means select everything that's in view and then group it. And that's it. Okay, so now, if I click save again, it's going to save it as what I already did, the 4-inch patch, right? My generic 4-inch patch. I don't want that. So, I forgot what I did to get around that. It's really, oh, I did duplicate. Because for whatever reason, see how it's also a saving option? I can say duplicate or duplicate. And now this one, I will save it as something else. So what you can do is come up here, sorry, where it says edited, just click on that. And then you can say Miranda Sailor Moon 4-inch patch or whatever you want to call it. And I always do .xxx just because that's how I want to remember it. And I'm saving it to my embroidery designs. That's fine. Again, if you want to change that out, change that out. Actually, I'm going to say desktop. No, that's fine. My embroidery designs. And I press enter. Now, what I'm going to do with this one is go ahead and save it to my SD card because we need to, or, you know, I'm saying my card reader USB port because we need to bring it to our sewing machine. So let me grab that. Let me get that going because I don't have it plugged in yet. Okay, guys. So I just plugged in my USB card reader, right? So I can put it into, again, save this as XXX, DST, whatever, PES, whatever your machine reads, right? So I know my Singer will read XXX, so I'm going to do that. So I'm going to do file and I'm going to export. Again, this is the file that I saved that's going to be this patch. When I click off of this, the generic 4-inch patches still be there and I can use it as a starting off point for next time, right? So I'm going to click this time export because we want this to export as XXX because that's what we want. Remove overlap stitches. You can do all these different things, mess with it, you know, whatever it is that you need to do. I don't really care about messing with it. I always just leave it the way it is. But, you know, optimize stitch length. There's things that you can kind of mess with that to make it look nicer if you think you need to. Now, oh, interesting. So the other day when I did my patches, one of them had 22 colors. And I was like, why is this thing doing this not in the correct order? Like, it'll show you, and I'll show you what I mean in just a moment. It's because of this. It does 20, and then it does the other, and it says stops will be converted to color change. So that's interesting. Anyway, well, now that I read that, it makes sense. But if you want to save this as something else, your PES, VP3, whatever, just click that, okay? But I'm going to do XXX. That's why it's still there from the last time I did it. And I'm going to say continue. And, oh, you know what? Yeah, that's fine. I should have changed out the file should be okay. Let me see. Okay, anyway, desktop, and I want it on my USB, right? So, where are we going here? Save as, yes. Why is it not on here? Oh, it's over here, duh. USB 2, there you go, and we're going to save it. What I was going to say is right now, I believe this is on the larger hoop, and that's not really what I want to use. But if it's a normal size, you know, it should fit on the 4-inch hoop. Let me see. I'm going to do small hoop. Say okay. See how it's just outside the inches of the small hoop? That's a bummer because, well, actually, we can probably highlight the whole thing. Let's see. Let's select everything. Let's group it together. And then let's just make it a little bit smaller all around. Okay, so this is going to be a little smaller than 4 inches just because I don't want to waste so much material to put a patch or a twill all over, or, you know, even the cutaway and the embroidery, all that stuff will have to be way bigger, right, if you're putting it inside the larger hoop. And so I just shrunk this down that it should theoretically be able to print out on this kind of thing. It's not telling me no. So we'll see. Let's save it this way then. I'm just going to say file and save again because this is that. And I'm going to export it again and see if that makes it any different. I don't know. So let's say continue. And I'm going to say this, and it's going to tell me there's one already there, and I'm going to say sure to overwrite it. Yes. One or more files already exist. You want to replace them? Yes. So hopefully I can just use the 4-inch hoop. If it tells me at the machine that I still got to switch out to the bigger one, I'll do that. But again, we manipulated it a little bit. You know, that kind of gets wonky. It kind of gets funky. Obviously, these letters are going to be a little smaller than 1/2 inch now because I pulled it in, but about 20%. You don't really want to go bigger than 20% or smaller than, you know, 20% or, you know, in the other direction, should I say. Okay, so this is done. But I want to show you on Singer My Sonnet, you can press things like preview up here. And I love this because you can click on this one and it's going to show you kind of what it looks like in real life, right? And that's fine. I don't care about that so much. What I wanted to do is preview this. So this is going to show you how it's going to stitch out exactly. So you're going to have that underlayment that's going to show you, I just fast forward a little bit, your tack down or your placement stitch, however you want to use that. This should be the placement. Then this will be the tack down. But I did this one twice. This is how I did it. And I'll show you when we get there because I want it to show me where I need to put my twill. But if we're only doing this one, we know we're going to put the twill. You need to put it right in the center, right? And it needs to be at least a 4.5 inch square of twill because it's a 4-inch patch. So whatever. And then you have your tack down and it's going to do it there and it's going to do in the middle. And then you're going to have your color. Again, I guess we're doing the same color for both of these. I never switched it out. But if you wanted to switch it out, switch it out. The next thing it's going to do is this part, the Sailor Moon herself. And then it's going to do the lettering. And that's it. So I love that because you can just press play and just watch it stitch. This thing stitches so slowly. Look, the way it kind of shows you how it's going. I just like to kind of drag it through and have an idea of what goes where and what, you know, there you go. It showed you have 5 palettes, right? I always keep this open while I'm stitching, even though we don't use the computer to stitch. Like now that we have our file saved, you're going to take the file over to your embroidery machine. But I just like to see it again to show me the order of the colors. You should have an idea. See, when I click that, it's everything, which is kind of annoying. There. So when I click this, this shows me, like, show me everything. This right here. You're going to see that it's going to go this one, this one, this one, then this one, this one. But when it stitches out, it's going to be this one, then this one, then this one, and then it's going to skip to the, you know, actually it showed me it's going to do this one next, and then the lettering. So there should be a way that you can find that out, but I don't know where that is. I'm not going to lie. So, like right here, it tells you there's 5 colors. Okay, cool. But you should have a little thing that tells you, and that might be in some of the options where you have to pay for it. I don't know. I haven't seen it. Like this preview, it tells me there's 5. Okay, whatever that is. That's not, what is this? Okay, I don't know. I would say it might be somewhere. Store demo point, reset my demo. I don't know. Anyway, you should have a little list of how the colors are going to stitch out. But again, that's why I just kind of keep this open and I just look at it here. But yeah. Okay, well, we have it saved, and so that's it. So let's... Okay, guys, before we get to the embroidery machine, I figured we can do this part here, because all I need to do is I just need a little, again, tear away. So if I tear this, that's tear away. And then some cutaway and my twill. So I just need enough of this one to place down here. Basically, I'll probably just cut it up this side. And you can be a little chintzier with it, but it's better to give yourself enough so that you can do this and not have to be afraid that it comes away later while you're embroidering, of course. And then I'll cut a piece of this cutaway that's the same. So again, my tearaway is white. I don't have any black cutaway, but the cutaway I do have, this other one, I do have a black piece. So I'll be right back. Okay, I just want to make sure this is tearaway. I'm like, it seems sturdier than tearaway, but okay. So when you slide this into the machine, mine goes like that, and it has a little arrow here on this side that you're going to want to match up with the other arrow. I'm going to use my Singer SC300 or CE300. I can't remember right now. The letters on that. But again, you can do this on any of your machines. So just set it up however you need for your machine. So I'm going to pop these guys on here. And I'm not gluing those together or basting or anything like that. I'm just going to pop this in here. And let's make sure it's nice and taut, just like any other time. We're not putting the twill on here because we're going to cut the twill away. So we just need our foundation, our stabilizers to be in this. That's how I do it. If you don't want to use the stabilizer, you want to use the plastic sheeting from Home Depot. Oh, one other thing. This should be flat already. Sorry. That's a quick release. It's not really to tighten this. So that's why it was so loose. I was like, why is it so loose? Okay, there you go. And then if you need to tighten it at all, that's okay. And that's pretty good. And since I am using the hoop that's for 4-inch, designs, basically I need my paper to center in here. So see how this like top 2 inches, it doesn't embroider in there. It's basically you're aiming for this area where this little centerpiece is. And I know mine's pretty much maxing it out, if you recall. So I'm going to grab this. Again, this is just some twill I picked up. I keep cutting this other section so I don't have to iron this. But if you were to iron it, obviously you can use this. I keep cutting into it in this direction so I can get this. And I'm totally eyeballing this. You're going to want, well, at least for mine, probably like a 4.5-inch piece of fabric. And I didn't wash this or anything like that, but if you want to pre-wash things and let them shrink or whatever they need to do, that's fine. But you see, basically I need to cover this area, right? This whole area here. So all I'm going to do is put a little fusel webbing. The reason I'm not trapping it into the frame is because we're going to cut around. We're going to cut this away before we finish the stitching because you want it to look really nice on the edges of your patch. So the design I have is interesting in that... I'm just going to pop this on here. A little basting spray. It's going to do just a thin line. It's going to do it on the inside too because that's just how it is. I didn't delete that one. And then it's going to do a little stitchy kind of over that line, and then it's going to fill in with the satin stitch. So basically that first line, I'm using that as my tack down. So that's why I already put this here. I don't need to know where it is. I'm not using it as a placement stitch, but depending on your design, what you're using, it might only do it once, that first line. So what you can do is let it do the first line without putting your fabric, and then say, okay, now I know where to place my fabric. Remove it from the hoop, put it on there, and let it do that first line again. Just go back one to the first thing that you're going to do, because that's basically the first thing, and let it stitch it again. And once it stitches it again, then you can cut around the circle. But I know it's going to be here, so I don't need a placement and a tack down. So basically we're going to start off with the tack down. So let's go to the embroidery machine. Okay guys, sorry about the lighting. I don't know, a lot of houses built in the 90s are like, overhead lighting, who needs that? So anyway, I mean, it's just in weird spots that doesn't make a lot of sense. But anyway, I'm going to replace my bobbin because I can see that one's pretty low and it's not going to be enough for this project. I already have a needle in there that's nice and fresh from the last time I made some patches, and it was giving me a lot of trouble. Oh my gosh. The needle broke. That was one thing. And then I put an Oregon needle in it, and it just was ripping up my thread And then finally, I replaced it with a Schmetz needle, and it's great. So again, just however you need, but always make sure your bobbin is full, and you're good to go. Come on. There we go. That one's good. Pop this back on. And I think I'm gonna start with a light blue around the edges. So light blue, pink for the lettering, and yellow for the Sailor Moon. So I'm gonna go ahead and set those up. You can always put them into your, you know, how you need to. But I do have this little carrier thing that Poolin had sent to me, and I like the way that works. So I'm gonna go ahead and set up my threads on here, which basically just put them wherever you need to and string them through here. And then you just continue threading your machine as normal, but I'll be right back. Just behind here, I have my threads ready to go. So I'm gonna turn on my machine. I already have my USB in the port. Again, you know, whatever machine you have. So I wouldn't worry about any of that. Just do whatever it tells you for your machine. And we already have this guy ready to go. Right, so there it is. I can pop it on now. I haven't threaded my thread though, so that is one thing to think about. Again, I usually keep my laptop with me or whatever it is that I designed this on to know that, okay, yeah, it is going to do that one first, because this machine does not really tell you what's happening. So let me turn that on. I'm going to look for my thing. It's the Miranda Sailor Moon with 4 and a question mark for some reason. And hopefully this works out. And if you look at your frame, it should say it's the 4-inch one, which is 100 by 100, and that's what it says, because basically that's what I had chosen, and also the size of the thing. So if you want to change the embroidery hoop or the frame, you can change it there, but right now it knows it's the 4-inch frame. So before I do anything else, I'm going to go ahead and lift this up, because that's how my machine is, and just thread this like I was normally if it was coming off the spool, but it's not. It's coming off this thing in the back here. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep a little tension. Your presser foot should be up when you do this first part, down until you get to where you're going to thread the needle. Then you put your presser foot down. That's basically for most machines how it's done. So now I put the foot down and then go ahead and do my my needle. Okay, so I'll be right back because I got to get down in here. Sometimes I do bring up the bobbin thread with my needle, you know, and then just put this in and all that. But I didn't do that this time. So all I'm going to do is just say start. And for some reason I always forget. On this one, it's because I'm used to using the Poolin one, the Brother, like all these different machines. So we're going to say play. And I'm just going to hold my thread like this. And now it's going to ask me to cut it, right? So it is doing that outer circle. And I'm going to do these things all the same color. So on my, you know, my first, we're going to get rid of this. When I was designing this, I could have said I want these all the same color, and it would just keep going, but I didn't do that. So now I'm going to just keep going and starting and stopping with different colors, but I'm going to leave the same blue, okay? That's because I didn't change it in my design, you know, when I was designing. But if you want to change it, just make them all the same color, and you don't have to even be paused, right? It'll just keep working. So right now it's going to do this, which is definitely your tack down or your placement stitch. If you want to do it again, like I said, if you want to do it for a placement, you would let it go without the fabric, see where it's stitched, put your fabric on, do it again, okay? But for now, we just have this, and now it's going to do that other one because it's the same color, and I don't really care. I'm not going to cut it. I'm just saying play, let go. Gives you a chance to cut that thread, and it's not always something I want to do. But between here and the next color is going to stop because that was one color, right? If you guys remember when we went through it. The next one is going to be the little zigzaggy stitch, which is another color. So now it says 2 of 5. For me, it's not another color. But so I'm going to leave my thread, but I am going to remove this because what I'm going to do now is go in here and trim away this because I want the satin stitch to make my patch really nice. And now normally I use applique scissors. I do not know where they are. So I'm just going to go sit down and really carefully cut right along that stitch, okay? So it'll be a circle, not this inner one. I just did that because that's just how the file is, but I'll leave that alone. Just cutting this outer portion. Okay, I got as close as I could without having my little scissors. Oh my gosh, my applique scissors. They have like a duck bill, so you get really close without cutting your stitching. If you have a 4-inch die, knowing this is a 4-inch circle, you know, I kind of mess with it, then you can just cut a piece of fabric that's a 4-inch circle and place it where the placement stitch is, you know, which makes it really nice and clean. But okay, so I'm not changing my thread. It is pulled out pretty well. I'm gonna put the foot down, just say play, because I'm not changing the thread color. Again, it always gives you a chance to cut the thread end. Usually I do it here, but then I don't do it later because it's fine. I'm just gonna press play and let it go. So now it's doing a zigzag stitch. Let me get a little bit closer so you can see that. And this will actually show you how much of the black or your patch material is going to be showing, because the satin stitch is going to go right over that same zigzag. But okay, I'm going to let that go, and I'll show you it's going to go to the next one, because this is supposedly our second color, even though I'm not switching out the color. Okay, just finishing the zigzag on that one, but since it's the same color as the middle, it's going to go to the middle, and it's going to do that, and it's going to ask me to cut the thread, which I'm not going to do. I'll just say play. And now it's going to do the same, you know, zigzag over that middle one, and then I'm not going to change the color again, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the satin stitch, which is the next thing it's going to try to do. It's going to go to the next spot. Again, I don't need to cut it because I'm using the same color for the satin stitch, so let's just play. And it does this weird thing. Well, it's going to ask me to cut the thread in, but it kind of runs it, and then it starts doing the satin. I don't know why. Look how far it's going to go. And then it's like, oh, now I'll do the satin stitch. I don't know. That's just how it is, but let me close up so you can see. But again, that's just this Etsy file. And it's filling in that beautiful satin stitch. So it's going to do it here, and it's going to do it in the middle. And I'll just let it go. Now, I will say, when you're doing patches, there is a certain stitch that goes around the end, and I forget the name of it right now. It has a very specific name. John Deere Embroidery, if you look them up, they have that. Their patch maker does that. And it's like a embroidered edge that just goes out further a little bit, and it's just really nice and beautiful, and I can't think of the name of it right now. It's a certain way of finishing off your badges, but anyway, I'm just using a satin stitch. It's good enough. I will say, while this is working, I know it's loud, do not take this out to cut around. Leave it in the frame, because if you think you're going to cut away the twill and you're going to put it right back in the same spot, you probably aren't, and it's not going to be in the right spot. So do not remove your stabilizer, your fabric from the frame. Just cut around like I showed you while it's still on there, and then just reattach it, because you'll never get it right in the same spot. I mean, sometimes there's some crimps in here and you think, okay, that looks about right, but I wouldn't do that. So you definitely want to leave it in there when you're cutting away appliques. This is for all appliques, but it's almost done. Just finishing that one, and again, I'm not changing the color, so I'm going to let it go to do the next piece, and it's going to start up. And I'm not going to do anything about the center. I don't know if you saw the very edge of the thread. It pretty much buries itself, so I always just press play. There's nothing to cut. And in the meantime, sometimes I do try to get rid of these, especially when I'm going to come back in and do lettering. I don't know where it's going to be exactly, even though I have a good idea. And I'm doing this very gingerly, as you can see, while the machine is moving. Okay, I'm going to let it do that satin stitch, and that's just a design option. Again, it could have just been the design. You didn't have to put another circle. I just think it looks cute. And it looks even cuter when they're different colors, but there we go. Finished. And it's color 4, which is actually the image. So I'm going to do that in, oh, you know what? I think I'm going to do the image in yellow. So I'm going to switch out the thread, however your machine needs to be rethreaded for that. And I'll be right back. Ready to go. I'm just going to press play. And then we'll cut this one because it's a long thread. Now I want it to get caught up. Sometimes what happens is it'll go back over itself, and then this will get caught in a loop, and you'll be in big trouble. So you definitely want to cut off when you have a long thread at the beginning. And I'm going to let it go, and it's going to do the little Sailor Moon. I'm just always blown away by the detail these machines can do, you know. It's just, I mean, I'm telling you, when I did that clarinet on that patch, it had the smallest little silver keys like all over, you know, and it was fine if, you know, my needle hadn't been an issue, but I haven't had any breakage. This is just like super easy, getting it going, and as you can see, it's just doing its job. Just finished up. That is so pretty. And look at this. I got this from an Etsy seller. I'll try to link the names of the people. I mean, I don't have anything to do with them, but look, that is so nice. Okay. So I need to switch out to my pink, and that is my last one, 5 of 5, and I'll be right back. Okay, so again, for me, I just press play, but whatever you need to do with your machine, and then trim away that little excess. This one is going to have a lot of tails. Well, that's not true. As it goes from one letter to another, it's going to do a tack down, then the next letter, tack down, next letter. I'll show you what I mean. And when you're done with that, you're going to have to trim in between each letter. right? But that's just how it is, and that's fine because you don't want your letters to come apart, right? So here's the M. Oh, how funny. I thought that was the first part of the M, but it's going backwards like this. So there's the M for Miranda. And again, it's such a small lettering, and it's just like, you know, has to go back and forth so much. And it is kind of hard to tell on the screen, I'm not going to lie, like how close or, you know, how it's touching. Because here I do see there's more space down at the bottom. See, it checked it off. Now it's going to do the next one. And it's not asking you to cut them right now. But when you're done, you are going to want to cut in between all of those little threads, right? So here comes the I. And I just wrote Miranda, right, her name. And then it's going to cut them off. It's going to finish. And it's going to start down here to do the Sailor Moon part. Okay, I'll let it go. So I just finished that one, and now it's doing this side, and it's going to tell me to cut my thread, but just keep going. I'm not going to lie, I might have used a different font for this bottom one, which is actually really cute. Unless the Miranda part doesn't have any that kind of connect, it's doing it really cute here because of the A and the I, the L, you know, the way they come together, but I don't think it's a different font. It just looks how cute. Okay, it's finishing up the N, and that should be it for this one, right? The O's are so cute in this font. Oh my gosh, they're adorable. And again, you can get things closer to the spacing so it looks like it's actually cursive, right? The whole thing. But I didn't really do that much. All right, and that is it, guys. And we know that, and it says here that we're done. So we say yay, and then basically, I mean, that's it. It should have cut it. Sometimes it keeps it really sturdily, but that should have cut its own. You heard it go, there you go. So we're gonna take this to my craft station. I said I'm gonna use the spray adhesive. I don't know, why not? We can try it. I haven't tried that before, but I usually use Ultra Bond. You just cut a piece, put it on the back, iron it on, and it's ready to go to be ironed onto what you need. But let's go finish this guy up. Okay guys, better lighting. So, release, boop. Again, you don't use that to ratchet down. I think in the very first tutorial or review of the machine, I show you guys to ratchet it with that, but don't do that because you can break it. So that's just to quick release, okay? And so, again here, I did tearaway because I like the way tearaway works as far as this part because it just goes away, and then those little bits that are kind of left, that little white kind of fuzziness, we can do away with a little bit of a flame. So you're going to want to do that with a lighter or like a little hot tool, however you want to do that. Sorry, I'm making a short video as I'm making this one too. Okay, usually fabric scissors will do. It has a ton of holes. I don't know if you can see. I mean, you can kind of see through here because by the time you're done, this, you know, your machine has gone into those little holes so many times you might even be able to tear this away, but I'm not going to do that because it's not tear away and I don't want to warp my patch. So I'm just going very carefully right up against your stitching. You don't want to cut your stitches and then they'll start unraveling. But again, like I said, it's just really so many holes that it's just very easy to cut. So I'm just going to go around and cut this whole thing. You get around to the end, and yeah, just be very careful because you can definitely cut those little pieces. Now there are some little black bits here that again is because I didn't get super close to my my twill, you know, to the very placement stitch or tack down. So just, you know, cut away as much as you can, as close as you can, because what's cool, but twill is, well, at least twill I have is cotton. It's not going to go away as easily as I would like. But let me cut this piece. What you're going to do is come around, and you can do this at the very end. We can do this right now, just with a little torch, and just go on the very edges. But the twill, unfortunately, will want to burn because it's cotton. So what you're doing here is you're shrinking back. I don't know if you can see those little white bits that are there. Let me see if I can get closer this way. Oops, sorry, that was really fast. These little white bits will just shrink away because it's polyester, you know, so it's plastic essentially. So that just kind of seals all those things. And then we need to cut all these little fibers here. So however you need to do that, Let me grab my scissor. I think I left it upstairs. I'll be right back. So just a couple reasons why I do the tear away, because I feel like when you tear it away, it just makes it very easy instead of having that cutaway. And on the back, I think it's nicer to leave something that's cut away because it's not just going to be falling apart in pieces. If you put tear away, 2 layers of it, you know, this is going to start falling apart, right? Because that's what's going to happen. A lot of times I don't even trim these in the back. And you can see it embroidered really nicely because obviously the blue's all the way over here, but this part where you see the bobbin thread and not so much of the color, but there you go. So you're going to go around and get real close as you can, and cut off all the little bits that we need to cut off. If some of them are real close and you don't really care, then don't worry about it. Like between the A and here, it kind of almost helps it look attached. I will say I probably will cut this one though, which is kind of a bummer. Between the dot of the I. Cut this little guy, whatever you can get in there, as close as you can get. Trim them all up, okay? And I will be right back. Okay, funny enough, this one doesn't have anything for me to cut. It just happened to start and stop in a nice way that I literally don't have to cut anything. But I said get as close as you can. And then, oh my goodness, there's like little blue fibers here. The rest of it, you can kind of bend like this. See how there's like this little blue one here? And just let it shrink back. Okay, so you do that everywhere. Very carefully, guys. Okay. There you go. And that zapped all those. Maybe right here by this A, I have a little bit more. Get your finger out of the way. You can definitely even just go over the top like this. You have to do it quickly or else you're going to singe everything. But if you don't, it's just going to push back those little bits. And that's it. They're sealed off. Okay. So generally at this point is when I would cut a piece of Ultra Bond, right? You have spray and bond, Ultra Bond, or heat and bond, but the red one, okay? The purple one's like the weaker one. And then I would cut a square. It looks almost like this. I would cut a piece that would fit back here, put it with the shiny side down, the paper side up on the back of your thing, and then iron it, right? And then just leave it for a few seconds and then go ahead and peel it off because it's going to leave the sticky stuff, and you're good to go, right? It's not sticky. It gets sticky when you heat it up, but it'll leave the glue on there for you. And I actually like that because it is like another piece of fabric, even though it's not. Now, for this one, like I said, I didn't trim this up. I'm going to use the spray one just to try it out for the first time ever. So maybe you do want to go ahead and take a moment to kind of trim some of these things up. Maybe come in here and give it a little boop boop. See how they just shrink away? It just looks a lot neater. Okay. So I guess we're going to take this outside. It says just to give it a shake. Pre-wash all materials, of course. Preheat iron to medium-high heat. No steam. Shake well before use. Always. Oh, yeah, because you're going to spray this on and then you're going to put it on with your iron. But that's silly because they're telling you to preheat the iron. Then they want you to spray it and then let it dry and then adhere it, right? So how long is it going to take to dry? I don't know. I'm not going to use the iron today because we're basically just going to put this on and then I'm going to leave this until another day. So I guess we're going to go outside. I'm not spraying this in here. I'll be back. I guess I should do this in the front yard, but oh well. I was going to spray this on some of this, like on my patio furniture, but you know what? I have this box from Costco, of course. I'm just going to turn this over. Again, you can iron this flat because really that's what it needs, but that's all right. So I guess I'm going to take this with one hand, and I assume we can spray anywhere. It says 8 to 10 inches, so I guess that's there, and just spray it on. And I'm going to spray on a good amount. I don't know if that's what it needs, but there you go. It was quite a bit of stuff flying around. Let's see. 8 to 10 inches of surface, press nozzle and apply adhesive in short bursts. Oops, oh well. Using a sweeping motion to evenly coat surface, making sure to cover all edges. Allow to dry. And I mean, then that's it. You put it on your project. Short bursts. There's some short bursts. I really want to get that on there, obviously. I feel like it needs more on the edges, but you know what? That's it. So I am not going to touch this. I'm going to leave it alone. I guess I'll come back in like 5 minutes and see what happens. Okay guys, I don't think it actually needed to wait 5 minutes because I did touch this. It's a little bit sticky, but this is pretty dry. But it's been about 5 minutes. Again, there it is. Let's go take a better look at it inside. Okay, so let's talk about it. This spray, you know, that I left it outside actually, is about 20 bucks. At least when I bought it at Joann's a few months ago or a couple months ago, it was 20 bucks. That's roughly how much it costs to buy, like, you know, the rollout kind of stuff of it, unless you're buying it by the yard or something. I don't know. I'm not going to stick this on anything right now, so I can't really speak to that, but it is dry. A little bit sticky right here, but it was thicker there, so oddly enough, there's no scent. You would think this is going to smell like caustic, right? There is Literally no scent, like nothing. I'm not smelling anything at all, which is very interesting. Not even a glue scent, nothing. So we'll see. Time will tell. I think I still prefer the other stuff, but that's not bad. I mean, especially if something that's kind of intricate or whatever, like it'd be nice to just spray it and be done with it, right? But there you go. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching. I hope that gave you an idea on how to use those free things to make a patch. Again, look at the lettering. The A's all the way up to there, or the I, sorry, and this is kind of here. I think that's not bad. I mean, I don't know. If you had a patch maker, maybe it'd be more spot on, because a lot of times those let you type in the lettering as it's in the space. But, for a free thing, I think I did pretty well. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you at the next one. Bye now.